What is up, guys? So we're doing some more things in the Challenger. Um, so I bought these custom dynamic bag lights. Well, obviously when I bought the bike with the stock bags and everything, and as I've cleaned up this area, I did away with these lights and then put everything in here with the resistors under here. But with the way the carbon fiber bags are, it kind of just, I don't know, it doesn't blend right, especially in pictures. So what we're doing is we're taking these things off and we're gonna stick some little indicators up here. To do that, we have these little Atto bullets. So I bought these from foreverrad.com. I'll put the link in the description. But these little guys will act as a turn signal and the brake light. They come with plenty of wire. Obviously your connectors, what I'm going to end up doing is splicing everything together with solder. But these things are crazy bright. I've had them on this bike for about 5 years and absolutely zero issues with them. So as far as brightness is to be concerned, with how small they are and safety and everything, needs to say they're going to be just as bright as these lights. So I'm going to get everything disassembled, get these removed from the bag and disconnected. I'm going to take the fender off, and then we'll get back to the second clip there. So with the old lights out, you can kind of see how the weave kind of changes and kind of meets. So you can see that a little bit better with this gone. One thing I did think about doing was actually putting in here, just taking the light and put it there. But as you can see, there's not that much thread here, plus the nut, and these bags are kind of thick, so that wouldn't work. So what we're going to end up doing is putting them right about there. So I'm going to take with some tape where I want to mark them, and we'll put one here and one here. So another thing I did with this fender, I didn't want to drill any excess holes in this back here to run these wires, mainly because whenever I go to sell the bike, I'll take this off and sell it, and the new buyer might not want to have holes in it. So what I did was ran everything back through here for my lights. I'm just going to do the exact same thing for turn signals, down through here, and then I had this connector where I can just reach up under the fender, disconnect it, and if you loosen these fender bolts, there's enough slack where you can get it in and out. So obviously, to reinstall it, we just put it back in there, then tighten all these bolts, and you're good to go. So that's exactly what we're going to do, because the rest of the harness for these lights is zip tied underneath the fender right there. All right, with the fender off, forgot how light this damn thing is. This thing weighs nothing. So you can see what I did. So this is your OEM harness that comes up here. This is the little plate bracket light where I shoved the power in through there. And then these are your two OEM turn signal lights, which I have resistors wired into them. Hopefully I have these connectors, that way I can just sell these resistors and the other lights as a kit. If not, we're gonna have to cut these off and solder these onto those. All right, so good news for the harness and connectors. Obviously these are the Custom Dynamics resistors, or diodes, whatever you want to call them. And they just go in your left and right OEM harness. I do have this kit for my other videos. I'll put a link in the description from Amazon. So it's all these OEM style connectors. And so what we're gonna do is basically gotta figure out how much wire I need out of this, put some heat shrink around it, put some pins on these, and then we're gonna pin this. I talked to Kyle. We are not gonna use the white and gray wire. We don't need all three wires. The bike is smart enough to be able to figure out the brake and stop light and running light, so we're only going to use the red and gray. I mean, obviously, as you see, these are 2-pin connectors, so we don't need 3 wires. We're just going to terminate the one little wire. So I'm going to get my holes drilled in this, figure out which one's left and right. Actually, that doesn't matter, because these are the same connector. So I'm going to get my holes drilled in that, mount these up, throw some heat shrink on, and get my wires routed. I think what I'm going to do is kind of keep them all about this length, that I can get my hand up in there and disconnect them. So then I can just run everything right through, and it'll all be like this. All right, I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, guys, sorry. So this one, obviously, so I took these and measured obviously from bolt hole over and then down from the bottom of here. They're pretty damn close. This isn't perfectly square and symmetrical on this plate. I think it was a 3/16 bit I used, so put some masking tape around this thing and do it at high speed to pop in, that way you don't crack the clear coat on the carbon. Tighten these down a good bit. You don't have to put a lot of tension on them, but That way you can, with a little bit of force, you can kind of move this where you need it to be. But you don't want to put a bunch of force on that. What I did was I took that white wire and I terminated it about right here, put some heat shrink on it and call it a day, and then ran this wire all the way over to here to try and make this kind of even up in here. For these pins, you should probably buy the crimp tool. It's a real pain in the ass to do it with a pair of pliers, but it is doable. And then for the connector, there you go. You basically pop this blue thing out, slide it over your 2 wires, put the pins in, and then you're good to go. I usually take a little flathead screwdriver and kind of push them in. As far as the wiring goes, the black is the ground, the colored is the hot. So basically what I did was you just take your connector, pop it in there, shove your 2 wires in there, and then you know you're good. So, and then obviously too, you want to shove your heat shrink over your wires before you get to the point of putting this on, because it doesn't fit through the heat shrink. So I'm going to suck that back up. I'm going to heat this. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one, put a little piece on after my connector, or before my connector, and then pull it through. And so once you get this in there and you get the 2 in, you'll hear a little audible click, and then you can just take a little screwdriver, pop it in, make sure that the 2 pins aren't touching inside, and then make sure they don't come out by pulling on them, and then just shove this back on. And there you have it. Oddly enough, I got them correct the first time around. So my left, got my right, I got our brakes. So time to put it all back together. So things went off course just a hair. So take a look underneath here. As you can see, all the connectors and everything up there. When it was just license plate connector, it wasn't bad to reach my hand up in there and pull it apart, but with the 2 turn signal connectors, since they're both the same, you can get left and right screwed up, and it's kind of a pain to remove those connectors without a screwdriver. So what I did was I zip tied all that back together, ran the wires out to here and kind of just left this sit here with the rag under it, popped the fender on, and then made sure this wire is loose up here, and then just connected to the main harness. To fit all these through here, I did have to take a little die grinder and oblong this hole ever so slightly. Next time I had this fender off, I'll probably rearrange these, because obviously this one should be on top of that one, and get all 3 going in. I gotta take this back off again to replace my tire anyway, so that'll be another project. But all the wires are loose, nothing's pinching or binding there, pinching or binding up here. So I'm gonna finish assembly and see what she looks like. And we are done. So I have this sitting at eye level, so I'm 5'10" on a good day with boots. But so if you're sitting in a car, so I wanted to kind of angle them up so they're brighter, obviously lower down here anyway. So it's more directly shining right in the car's face, but they are insanely bright. Turn that off. And then obviously the running lights are just fine. So super happy with it. They are expensive. They're about $100 a piece. But obviously you can see how bright they are. It's worth it. And they have a 3-year warranty, I believe. But yeah, for the size, for how small they are, they blend right in. Turn the bike off. And with the bike off, I'm sitting in a parking lot. Never even know they were there. I think they make, yeah, they do make a smoke one, because these are smoke lenses. I didn't see that option when I was ordering these, so I just got the clear ones. But they do have a different option, I believe. But super happy with it. If you got any questions, send me a DM on my Instagram. My handle is in the description. And then these, I'm going to throw these up for sale. If they haven't sold by the time this video goes out, obviously DM me again, and then I'll throw in these little resistor things, so everything's a plug and play kit if you want to do this with your carbon fiber fender. Thanks for watching, guys.